Okay. Hi, my name's Liv, and today we're going to be talking about 25 books that are coming out in 2025. And this list is in chronological order, and yes, some of the books may already be out. Okay. So, our first book is Everything is Poison. This is a YA historical fiction, and I see poison, I immediately want to read. This takes place in 17th century Rome, where our main girl, Carmela Tofana, turns 16 and is finally allowed to see the inner workings of her mom's apothecary. And she discovers Aqua Tofana, the last resort, and this little vial of poison could spell doom for everyone. Our next book is Lies on the Serpent's Tongue. This is a YA magical realism. This is a companion to Bittersweet in the Hollow, which takes place in an Appalachian town about these four sisters who the women in their family have these powers, and it's eerie. I like the relationship between the sisters and has some maybe Mothman-esque folklore. This one is about the sister who can smell lies, and she has to uncover the town's secrets when things go awry. Next we have Liar's Kingdom, a YA fantasy. Now, we all know the story of Cinderella. The prince is looking to see who matches the glass slipper, ignoring the fact that people have the same shoe size, and they live happily ever after. But in this story, our prince maybe has some trouble recognizing faces. I guess like the original story, maybe some facial blindness. So he goes to Elle's house. He presents the shoe, and Elle's like, yeah, it's me. I danced with you at the ball. She's never met this man before in her life, and she definitely didn't go to the ball. But she sees an opportunity to escape her abusive stepmother and stepsisters, and obviously she's gonna take it. So this is about her trying to become princess and figure out all the workings of that, all while trying to keep her secret intact. Next we have Water Moon. Now I'm fascinated by these Japanese and Korean books where it involves a place where a magical thing happens. Like before the coffee gets cold and the Dollar Gut Dream Department Store. Have I read any of these books? No. But I am interested. This involves a pawn shop where you can pawn your life choices and deepest regrets, and our protagonist wakes up the first day as the owner of the shop to find one of the life choices stolen and her father missing. And in comes a stranger who, instead of looking for help, offers to help her find the missing choice and her dad, and so they have to journey together. Next we have Build a Girlfriend, which is a YA romance. This is about our main girl, Amelia, and all the women in her family are cursed. All their relationships end in heartbreak. But Amelia says enough is enough, and she decides she's going to go through all of her exes and interview them and be like, hey, where did I go wrong? So that she can build herself to be the perfect girlfriend. And along the way, she decides, hey, maybe I should get revenge on one of my exes. But this adventure of hers is proving to have more emotions and feelings than she was expecting. And she might run into some issues. Next, we have Wings of Starlight, which is a fantasy. Now, my childhood obsessed with Pixie Hollow, RIP to that game, saw this and went, oh. So this is about Queen Clarion and Milori from the Winter Kingdom in that movie, Secret of the Wings. And this is about their relationship, which takes place before that. So kind of like forbidden relationship. Next we have Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. This is a horror. I saw the title and the cover of this and immediately added it to my list. Okay, this is about Cora Zhang, a woman in Chinatown whose aunt is telling her, hey, you need to prepare for the Hungry Ghost Festival, and she ignores her aunt, which is understandable because she's been going through it. Her sister was murdered in front of her, and the murderer fled the scene shouting, Bat Eater. She's also a crime scene cleaner, and she's noticing bat carcasses being left, and that all of the crime scenes she's been sent to lately have been of East Asian women. And she's learning that you can't ignore hungry ghosts. So yeah, this one is obviously very timely. Next we have Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. Have I read the second book? No. So, okay, next we have Wildest Things. This is a YA fantasy, a sapphic Snow White reimagining where Snow White wakes up when her coffin shatters 20 years after the fact, and the land has been transformed by a blight, and the only way to stop it is to kill the evil queen's daughter and not fall in love with her. So you can see where this is going. Fable for the End of the World. She has 2 books coming out this year. I hope she's not being rushed. A rushed story is never good. This is pitched as Last of Us meets Hunger Games. So we've got an apocalyptic wasteland and a live streamed assassination tournament called The Lamb's Gauntlet. And we have our 2... Oh, this is also sapphic. We have our 2 girls, Anessa, who is the sacrificial lamb, and Melanoe, who is the assassin, and she's kind of been trained like a living weapon. Very Orphan Cassandra Cain. This story follows their journey where what if we kissed in the Lamb's Gauntlet? Inessa is wondering if there is more to life than survival. Melinoe is wondering if she's more than a killer. Next we have I Am Made of Death, which is a YA fantasy horror. I believe this takes place in the same world as Your Blood, My Bones, which I think takes place in the same world as Whispering Dark. So I have to read those two first, but the cover really drew me in. I love the contrast between something considered cute, I guess feminine, with something morbid, the rib cage made of ribbons. Okay, Spells, Strings, and Forgotten Things. This is a fantasy about Calliope and her sisters who can't reveal the secret of their magic, which is that the price for it is them sacrificing their memories. But Calliope doesn't care because all she wants to do is forget. But an ancient evil has been awakened and their magic is fading, and she accidentally binds herself to the rival coven leader, and she's basically gotta face the idea of, is there gonna be anything left of her? So I like the stories that deal with the price of magic, and I also like stories that deal with memory, like The Memory Eater, and the question of how much of your identity is memories. Okay, What Wakes the Bells? This is a YA fantasy based on a Prague legend. Okay, picture this. There is a sentient city created by the saints, and in this city there are bells. In this city there are bells, and the bells must not ring, or else they will awake a slumbering evil. So obviously a bell is going to ring, the bell that our main character has been guarding. Now the problem is the lore and the history of this city have been lost to time. So talking about preserving stories and books, also timely. And nobody really knows that they should be worried about this until the city starts fighting back. And so our protagonist has to find whatever host the evil saint has possessed, and so I like the idea of how far are you willing to go to save your city, and who are you willing to kill to do it. And also like a sentient city and the statues and gargoyles coming to life sounds intriguing. Next we have the most obvious, Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm interested to see what this one has to say. Okay, Coven Tendency. This is a YA fantasy that takes a Gen Z knife to Victorian Gothics about a group of young witches and the horrors of being in love. That was a little blurb. So we've got witches, but their magic is suppressed when they're teenagers because teenage girls are emotional and, well, are capable of psychological warfare. So Vanity, our protagonist's twin sister, might just remember how to do magic, so that's where the story starts. Okay, Starving Saints, fantasy, historical fiction, horror. The cover, whoever designed this designed the Macbeth cover, right? Right. Beautiful, disturbing. So this was called An Atmospheric Fever Dream of Medieval Horror. And when I saw the word Bacchanalian being used, ready for it? Okay, so we have a castle at siege. The food's running out. People are sick. There's an army outside. But in comes the constant lady and her saints to heal the sick and replenish the food. How did they get in a barred castle? Who cares? And she just wants you to worship her, and so the castle descends into bacchanalian madness, and who cares about the army outside? And there are 3 women who can see what's really happening. A war hero who pledges her loyalty to the constant lady, a paranoid nun turned sorceress, and a serving girl who wants revenge on the war hero. But the 3 of them are gonna have to team up to save the castle and themselves. So it just sounds like a mad time. Okay, next is Floating World. This is a YA fantasy. Wake up, Axio is dropping a new Korean myth retelling. This, I believe, is a retelling of the Celestial Maidens, and it was pitched as Final Fantasy meets Shadow and Bone. So we have an acrobat with secret powers, silver light, and an amnesiac sword for hire who has been hired to hunt her down. And their paths end up crossing, and he doesn't know that she's who he's looking for. And also, there's like 100 other swords for hire looking for her. And what these 2 don't realize is that their past and their destinies might be very entwined. I'm so excited. Okay. Next we have Forgery of Fate, which is a YA fantasy. This takes place in the same world as 6 Crimson Cranes. So I need to read Dragon's Promise first. This is about a girl who can paint the future and a dragon lord. Enchanted Greenhouse, fantasy romance. Takes place in the same world as the Spell Shop. So, I forgot to look up how to say your name. Turlu, librarian. You cast a spell, you create a sentient spider plant named Kaz. You get punished and turned into a wooden statue. The library gets burned down with you inside it. And you're aware the whole time what's happening. Very dark for a cozy. Wait, go back. You don't get burned alive. You wake up on a deserted island and with hundreds of enchanted greenhouses. And the only other company is a grumpy gardener and a sentient rose. And looks like you're gonna have to break the law and do magic again because these greenhouses are failing and you gotta rescue all the living things that are growing inside the greenhouse. So more cozy fantasy romance with some ecological climate change themes, which I love. Okay, Library at Hellbore, a horror. So, the tagline says it all. This school will eat you alive. So, we have our school where all the antichrists, Ragnaroks, apocalypse makers are brought, sometimes kidnapped, to and are told, hey, you're gonna get redeemed, you're gonna be accepted, you're gonna have a great life after graduation day. So our protagonist is Alessa, and she has been kidnapped and forced to attend, and on graduation day, wait a minute, something's off. All the faculty attack and start eating the students. Alessa and a group of her classmates lock themselves in the library and are told they have to sacrifice a student every night or they're gonna break down the doors and eat them all. So are they gonna band together and survive, or are they gonna all die? Obviously, this will be explained in the book, but I am curious if they're so powerful. Do the faculty also have powers, or maybe the students' powers get bound while they're at school? Okay, Mistress of Bones, YA fantasy. This reminds me of We Shall Be Monsters, which I love. Okay, thousands of years ago, the gods lifted the continents into the air so humanity could thrive, and they chained the lands down with their bones, turning them into anchor with a capital A. But Azul, our main girl, she doesn't care about any of this. She just wants to resurrect her dead sister. But the emissary of Lord Death is trying to get in her way, saying, you can't do that. So we stumble upon a miscellaneous cast of characters and the gods who want their bones back and are gonna cause some trouble. Okay, Automatic Noodle Sci-Fi. I know the cozy subgenre theme is being ironically overdone, but a cozy sci-fi novella sounded nice. So this is about a group of food service bots that get abandoned in their ghost kitchen. They get into their own delivery app account, open their own restaurant. Theory of Dreaming, YA fantasy. Tell me why I had to find out on Goodreads, of all places, about this book's existence. Now I'm hesitant about sequels. This might be from Preston's point of view. I am interested because this story seems like it's going to be talking about recovering from trauma and also the trauma you gain from the events of the first book. So I'll just read it. Okay, Hemlock and Silver fantasy, another Snow White retelling. Our girl, a healer, is summoned to the castle to cure Snow White, who's been poisoned. But she discovers a mirror world, and inside she's discovering the secrets of what happened to Snow's dead sister Rose, why their mother ripped out her own heart, and she's gonna have to stop the evil queen that's inside the mirror world. Finally, we have Catabasis. Immediately, in no questions asked, when I read the title, it's so nice when you can know exactly what the book is going to be about by its title, because some books, especially fantasy books, have wild names. Okay, so we have two academic rivals who have to rescue the soul of their advisor from hell. So we're going to Hades. Okay, so this was 25 books that are coming out this year. Leave a like and tell me what books you're excited to read that are coming out this year. And I'll see you soon. Bye.